And we are live. Welcome everybody to Ask a Wizard. Sorry for the late notifications there. I completely forgot to post it. That was my bad. We're going to be doing live wizard readings here today. And tonight we're going to be discussing how to kill a chimera, how to fight a chimera. And what is a chimera based on Carl Jung's studies and his interpretations based on the book. Oh goodness, what is it? The Phenomenology of the Soul? I believe that's what it is. Bit disheveled today. This particular book right here, the Undiscovered Self. My apologies. So yes, we're going to be discussing what Carl Jung means by a chimera and how to avoid it. Nitro says, "I'm always first." Congratulations, I'm proud of you. Hey, SpongeBob SquarePants is back. What up, man? Veltone Alex says, "Hey." Hello, Veltone. How are you doing? Holden says, "Hi." And if you'd like to get a free wizard reading, you know the deal. Invite someone in here. Help get some more eyeballs in, and you will get a free wizard reading. You can share the stream. You can post on social media. Throw it up on Reddit. You can invite a friend over here. Whatever you like. Whatever you want to do. Just do something in exchange for a free reading. And if you'd like to go all the way and you want to be super mega awesome and get the paid reading, you can go to paypal.me/askawizard. Pay whatever you think a reading is worth, and you can support me there, and you will get a paid reading. Holden has shared. Awesome, Holden. Let me get you on the list. And of course, as always, if you would like to financially support what I do and you like this wisdom, go on over to patreon.com/askawizard, where you can buy me a cup of coffee, buy me lunch, or buy me dinner in the Feed the Wizard program. It's very helpful and great indeed. Nitro has also shared. Let me get you on there. Boom. You are on the list, sir. Thank you. No problem at all, Holden. I shared in my group chat. Thank you very much, Valone. Let me get you on there. Valone. Where's that V11? Not sure. Not sure. All right, let's get these readings going. Holden, you are up. Today, hello, Wise Owl in the barn. Hey, Wise Owl, welcome. How are you doing? The Miner says, "I shared." Let me get you on the list as well, Miner. I was just in mining areas recently, a couple weeks ago, over in West Virginia. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. Nice to meet you as well. And later on tonight, we're going to be talking about how to fight a chimera. What is a chimera? And what did Carl Jung mean by it? And how can you defeat them? Saw you yesterday on the live. Well, congratulations, sir. Welcome. And if you keep up that pattern, you should become part of the Parliament of Owls, which you become by getting an owl name. That's a cool nickname followed by the word owl, and that's literally it. I found your stream. I know. It took a little bit of time. I was super late on my notifications today, too. I screwed that up. All right, let's get Holden's reading. Today I'm doing it with a slightly new deck. I'm trying some stuff out with this. I only do this with one-on-ones typically because it's a little bit easier when it's just one person and I know them. But this is designed to, instead of going for the intuitive, the individual, it's more about what's going on in the environment, things that you should be aware of externally. So these are patterns of behavior that tend to occur in our environment, and just trying to bring your attention to that so that you can be prepared for it and then take the right decisions. I'm not great with YouTube. Well, you know, I don't have any answer for that. The secret to YouTube, I think, is just to watch the videos, and if it freezes, stay calm and stay steady. It's kind of like Facebook in that way. All right, let us begin. Thank you very much. Kidless says, "I shared." Thank you very much, Kidless. Let me get you on the list. Boom. All right, let us begin, or I'm never going to get through these readings. Let's go, Mr. Holden. Interesting indeed. So, looking into the past here, what we see popping up for you is going through a time where you had to put in a lot of effort to develop a skill. This is working hard, dedicating yourself, a lot of hard work and consistency, and just working and working to really cultivate a skill. Now, and that was the environment that you were in. It wasn't so much about being responsible as it was about just learning and developing the skill. Now, walking into the present, the current situation we find yourself in is the Ten of Bows. This one's more about responsibility, and literally is the responsibility card. This is saying that now that you've acquired the skill, you are kind of being expected to carry that burden, if you will, and bring that value to the people. And this can be a pretty overwhelming thing. You know, like in school, for example, you might be learning a new subject in school, and then you get to the next grade and you're expected to now have the knowledge of the previous grade and bring that knowledge into the current situation. So you're being held responsible for that knowledge. And that's kind of where we find you at right now, which is a bit stressed, a bit of a stressful environment, and a little disconcerted. So is this sounding accurate for you, Holden? Let me know in the comments below if this is sounding on point, and if not, that's perfectly fine. Let me know, and we will adjust accordingly. And keep in mind, this is my first time trying the nature external environment deck publicly for people, so I cannot guarantee I'll be on point. If not, I'll just switch over to the individual one, which is always on point through these streams because I've been practicing it. But I think that this should be working. It worked pretty well on TikTok, and I think it should be able to bring you guys some wisdom here as well. But if not, it's perfectly fine. Let me know. Seth says hello. Hello, Seth. How are you doing? Bella says, thanks. How are you doing, Wise Owl? I've been watching you post amazing stuff that's just bringing some positivity to my timeline. I'm scrolling through, and you just see horror and stupidity and horror and stupidity, and then out of the blue, out pops Wise Owl with a wonderful, just beautiful work of art, or some pottery, or some paintings, or some plants in abundance. It's just always nice to see what comes from your timeline, and it really sticks out like a rose in a field of trash. Really, it's just, there's just garbage everywhere, and then out sticks this beautiful positive rose. Holden says, it's always accurate. How do you do that? Well, I'm a wizard. That's kind of my thing. And Holden says, this is sounding accurate for him. Glad to hear. Seth would like to be added to the list. Yes, indeed, Seth. However, you, as well as a few other, are going to be after the lecture, because we have already booked up quite a few readings. Oh, all right. Let us begin. So the next steps for you, Holden, what we see popping up is the Page of Vessels. This is the Otter. So what this card, it's actually a really fantastic card. I like the size of these because it's easy for me to show them to you. So the Otter is about understanding that things are changing. There is a little bit of chaos going on right now, but the approach that we need to be taking with our environment right now is what the Otter does. And that's just kind of go with the flow. Just relax. Don't take it too seriously. You don't want to be holding this burden of knowledge as a responsibility on your shoulders. Instead, you know, obviously take it seriously. Work hard. An Otter isn't unaware. They're very observant. They're very intelligent. But they don't seem stressed out in the way that you see like a beaver who seems to be a little bit stressed about getting his dam built. The Otter kind of just flows and chills and eats his shell and works hard, obviously, to survive, but just be a little bit more laid back about it. It's not the end of the world. Just don't, because in a lot of ways, if you burden yourself with too much stress, you'll actually perform less effectively than if you just kind of, you know, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to work as hard as I can. I'm going to gain the skills that I'm going to do everything that's within my power, and then what happens, happens, and I can't control what is outside my control, and I'm just going to let it go. And so that would be my recommendation for you, and I hope that helps you out. This is huge, especially for people like to do stage performance. A big thing is with magic, comedy, anytime you have to stand in front of a stage, is being perfectly okay with completely failing and just looking really stupid. And that's a hard thing to do and a hard skill set to acquire, but that's the extreme of this same principle. Is if you are not okay with doing that, then you're actually more likely to fail on stage. But vice versa, if you're not afraid to do that, you're less likely to fail. And so you got to be able to just relax and accept what could possibly happen. And that is the reading for you, Mr. Holden. Let's get the next one up here, which is Nitro. Nitro, you are up, sir. Can you let me know in the comments below if you're still here and what reading you would like? And then after Nitro, we have VL1, something along those lines. If you'd like to get a reading, please let me know in the comments below. You're up next. and also let me know what you'd like a reading regarding. Nitro, where are you? Why do you write our names down to tell that we shared? You answered your own question in your own comment. Yes, I write down your names so that I can remember who shared so that I can get them on the list. It also lets me know if there's too many people, and then it's like, oh, there's 15 people. Well, I'm not going to be able to do the stream until midnight, so. Oh, thank you so much. That makes me happy. If you can bring joy to a person's day, that makes me happy. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Wise Owl. Well, you definitely are the light in the sad timeline of my Facebook. I could get a reading. Yes, Seth, you are on the list. All right. V-Lone says, yeah, I would like a reading specifically about business. Awesome. Well, let's see if Nitro comes here. Nitro, we are going to give you the roll call. V-Lone? Is it V-Lone or is it V1? I'm not sure. Is here, but we have not heard from Nitro. So Nitro, we're going to give you the roll call. Here we go. Going once. Going twice. And sold. All right, we're going to be moving on to V-Lone. Strawberry says, sometimes you scare me because I see your toxic TikToks and it scares me. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but that's kind of just for what I'm doing there. That's what's called a paracosm. I'm trying to show you guys how you can create fantasy worlds in your heads and interact with them and cause your mind to alter reality. And so I know that is a little bit scary, but it's also really cool to know because shared paracosms are things that can be utilized to change the world. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here with the Parliament of Owls. So it is good training for you, and I hope that you enjoy them and don't get too scared. I always leave an out for those as well so that you don't have to worry about getting scared. Because I'm running a clothing brand and I have a lot of anxiety if it doesn't work out. Ooh, that's the good place to start, V-Lone. I'm assuming it's V-Lone. We're going to go with V-Lone. Well, thank you. No problem at all. Tyler, you look great. Can see the weight loss on your face. Well, thank you very much. I have actually been spiraling from stress lately, so I'm glad to hear that that's working. I haven't been eating very healthfully. However, what I have been doing is just only eating after like 9 p.m. My thought process on that, not saying that's a healthy thing to do, by the way. I wouldn't recommend doing it. But my thought process is if I only start eating at around 9, then it's really hard for me to eat too much and be unhealthy because I have to go to bed so soon. And that was literally the thought process is I'll just limit the amount of time that I eat. And then I can't possibly eat too much. But thank you for that. All right. Can you give me a dirt bike wizard way? I mean, you could earn the money you need through, if you apply some of the advice that I've been giving you guys on Facebook streams and on these, like if you go on the strategy of life guide that we have here, or I think it's called Life, a strategy guide, you could easily be making enough money to buy yourself a dirt bike. It's not, that wouldn't be that hard at all. All right, let's see here. So we're going to move on to the next reading, which is Nitro has been removed from the list, which is V1 or V-Lone. I'm going to go with V-Lone. That's what I'm sticking with. Oh, goodness gracious. I wrote somebody's name down, and I can't read what it is. All right, V-Lone, let's go. He's looking for business advice. The Miner says, I would like a reading about love. I know it's weird, but it's hard for me. No problem at all. That's not weird at all. It's like one of the most common things I get asked. Well, thank you. No problem. After I watched one of your TikTok, I got good luck. Well, that's part of the paracosm. I'm glad that that worked for you. Holden, you're very nice and cool. Thank you, Holden. I appreciate that. I'm working up to my dream car. Nice. Above G. Well, I hope you're not trying to be above God because that will fail. Let's get V-Lone here. He's got a clothing brand and has a lot of anxiety. Okay, I think that's going to be better off with the individual deck rather than the environment, because it sounds like you're dealing with more of a personal issue here. So let's get that into consideration. All right. Ah, very interesting indeed. Okay. All right. That's making sense. Mr. Actually, I think I could probably take care of this one. Unless, is there anyone in particular who wants some insights? No? We're good? Okay, cool. Looking into the past, what we see here is the world popping up for you, V1. So what this is saying is that in the past you had this opportunity of just abundance. You kind of were looking around and saying, there's all these amazing and wonderful things that I could be doing to make money and how wonderful it could be and all these magical possibilities. And so you're probably just brainstorming. It's just like idea. And every idea seemed like the right idea, right? And so there's this moment where we're having all these ideas just popping out, and then we had to do the hard work of saying, this is the one I'm going to go with, though. This is the one I'm going to stick with and commit to. And in doing so, when we make that commitment, we kind of have to sell ourselves on the idea that it's the best idea, it's the correct one, and that's going to be the best thing that we ever do. So just be aware of the fact that you probably were doing a little bit of self-trickery there to really sell yourself on the idea that you're currently doing. Let's see here. I found a $50 bill after your TikTok video. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Momentum says lucky. Well, yes, definitely. Very good. Good fortune. So V-Loan, we see that process happening here for you in the world. Now, walking into the present, what we see is the 10 of Swords. So the 10 of Swords is the completion of a logical chapter. This is when harsh reality comes in, and it's like the idea of a business gets confronted with the reality of running a business. And let me tell you, if you are just starting in entrepreneurship and you're getting attached to the business ideas that you're doing, you are going to be very, very disappointed, okay? You need to be prepared to go into these mindsets with the idea that almost with certainty your business is going to fail. You have like a 1 in 11 chance of a business succeeding, and that's if you're doing everything right. So you don't want to feel like you're, oh, this is my one chance, and you don't want to sink all your energy into it. You need to start thinking of these business ventures as, how can I fail as quickly as possible while still viably testing the business idea? So for myself, when I start businesses, what I always did was I set a benchmark, which was a minimum of $500. As I've gotten more successful, I've moved that up to $2,000, but do what you're comfortable with. 500 does seem to be about the minimum, though, to get a basic, minimally viable test of your idea up and running for most businesses. However, some can be started for free or no upfront cost. And then from there, you make your goal to, I am going to try and get a minimum of 3 customers who are not related to me to buy my product, at least $30 of the product. If your product's under $30, you want to get 10 customers. And why those numbers? Then they're kind of arbitrary, but they are a general benchmark for, hey, there is at least some interest from people who don't know who you are, that aren't your friends and family, that are interested in buying what it is you have to sell. And when you do that, that kind of tests the market for yourself. And so that $500 might go to, let's say you wanted to start a window washing company. You might buy the equipment for a bucket, the soap, the tools, and maybe a couple of flyers to leave in your neighbor's door seals. And so you could do that, put out that advertising, and see, did that work? And if you don't get a good response, do some door-to-door, try and really work the phones, do some cold calling. If after all of that, you still didn't get the success that you're looking for, then it's time to say, all right, we gave this business idea a fair shot, didn't really work out, we need to close up shop, let's try another idea. And you need to be able to get through ideas as quickly as you possibly can. We have some Facebook streams and podcasts about how to test business ideas really effectively. I'd highly recommend checking those out as well. I want a gaming PC so bad. Well, earn it. I want a Hellcat for my dream car, and that's awesome. I don't know what a Hellcat is, but it sounds interesting. Yeah, I looked back and see what I could have done differently and how better it would have been. Yeah, so that's where we find you at right now, V1. Is this sounding accurate for you? Is this seeming like a similar dilemma that we're finding you in? Is this helpful? Let me know in the comments below. If this is giving you some insights, I'd love to know before we move on to the next steps. Bella dropping the YouTube emojis, thank you. I want a gaming PC so bad. Yeah, earn it. If you look into a cat's eyes for too long, will anything happen to you? I'd assume that they get annoyed. I always look at cats very sternly until they look away. I'm not really a fan of cats at all, and so I like to let them know that I don't like them by staring at them until they look away. I want them to know, don't come to me for pets. Yeah, a lot of NFL players want shirts of mine. They DM me. That's awesome. Your videos are very helpful. Well, thank you very much, Holden. I appreciate that. V-Lone says, yeah, they are very accurate. Glad to hear that this is sounding accurate for you. Awesome. So now that we're out of the way of we don't want to be attaching our personality to this idea of our business failing or not failing. The very thing we desire is right there in front of us. We just have to bring it forth into reality. The first step is to believe, manifest, and achieve, plus hard work. Heck yeah. That being said, so now we haven't attached our identity to the success or failure of our business, and we're now in the powerful position. And this is where you get to be Mr. Shark Tank of your own ideas. And that's what the Judgment card here represents. The Judgment card is saying, all right, it's time to start playing this game for real. We need to start keeping score. We need to start saying what we need to do is have a scoreboard. We need to track numbers. What is getting us results? What is making us money? Who's actually buying our shirts? Are we writing that down? Are we getting their info? Are we following up with them and letting them know how awesome that they are and how much we appreciate them? Are we giving out free merch to people that are in audiences that are going to want to buy what we're doing? Are we setting these things up and then tracking all those different little things? DMing on Instagram. I'm tracking people coming to my website. I'm tracking when I make phone calls. I'm tracking all these different things and then seeing of all those actions, which ones produce the real results, which ones crush, which ones suck. And then from there, you start seeing, hey, 80% of my shirts are coming from my Instagram DMs and say my cold calls. And then what you tell yourself there is like, hey, let's take those two channels and let's really work on those full time. Let's just do those things and do them amazing. And then we can start expanding into new ones. So in the very beginning phase, you want to test out 10, 15 different channels because you can't really predict what's going to work. No matter how experienced you are in marketing or advertising, there's going to be unexpected data that comes back. You can kind of make an educated guess based on what your competition's doing, but you're never going to really be able to truly predict it. So you want to throw 10 to 15, you can even go to 20 depending on your budget of different channels. And if you don't have a big budget, just try them in little chunks. Maybe it's two, and you do it out until you've gotten up to 15 to 20. Track all your data, track all your numbers, and then see which ones are doing the best for you. For example, when I started a lawn care business, Google AdWords was amazing for us, and Thumbtack. Those were the two that really, really blew us up, and so those are the ones that I really focused in on and doing really well on. So you want to figure out what those channels are and then work from there. So that's the recommendation I have for you, V1. I hope that helps you out. I hope that gives you some insights. Let me know in the comments below if that helped you out, and we're going to move on to the next readings. Next up is the Miner. That's what it was. Okay, I couldn't read my own writing, but it is the Miner. The Miner is up. I was just watching anime. Awesome. What anime were you watching? I sometimes overthink. Is there any way I can stop that? Yes, I have a lot of videos about not overthinking. You should check them out. There's quite a few different things. The main book that I recommend right off the bat, though, is A Stoic Approach. And that's going to be this one right here, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius will teach you about how to focus in on the things that actually matter. A really good strategy is, for not overthinking things, is to kind of just cut down what you think about. And then that way your energy is only being focused into things that you can control. That would be a better approach, I think, because that energy is there for a reason, so you might as well utilize it for things that can actually produce results. Do you have any suggestions on how I can make money as a 13-year-old? Yeah, dude. If you're 13 years, well, what I did when I was 10 as I went door to door and I did magic shows with my cousin. We would knock on people's doors, find out when their birthdays were, and we would sell them magic shows for $50, and we would split it 25-25 because that's how much it cost to get a Nintendo game. And so, like, he would get Pokemon Red, I would get Pokemon Blue. I did magic, he did guitar, and that was our whole little act. So there's plenty of ways to make money. However, what I would recommend doing is if you're 13, right now is a really good time to be developing skills. Develop skills that are going to give you long-term valuable benefits. So learning how to do video editing, learning how to do design, learning how to post videos on YouTube, how to make thumbnails, how to create content. Those are all skills that if you learn those now, are going to set you up for a lot of success on whatever it is you want to do in the future. That would be my approach here is don't worry so much about making money. You might make some money here or there, but instead focus on developing skill sets that are super valuable so that when you're 18, you're going to be, gosh, what is the math on that? 5 years ahead of people than out of college. And most people just kick the bucket down to college too, which I wouldn't recommend going to college. It's kind of a scam, really a scam. Be careful with college. Don't go into debt. It's a really scary place right now, but it might be different in 5 years. It might be burnt to the ground and rebuilt by then. So hopefully it will. That being said, that will get kicked down all the way down to 25 years. So if you start now, you could have an entire decade, which is the time required to be a master in a set of 5 to 6 skills that complement each other before people even start learning. You're going to be insanely ahead of the competition. It's absurd. So that would be my recommendation is go with whatever draws your attention, whatever you find value in, and study it as a craft, as an art, and try and master it. That'd be my recommendation there. The Miner, are you here? You are up next, Mr. Miner. You are the definition of kind. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know if I'm the definition of kind, though. I can also be very mean, but I try my best to be a good person. Arwen, same. I never watched The Promise of Neverland. Oh, I saw that pop up on Netflix. Is it any good? Oh, I am also Clout Token on TikTok. Nice. Welcome, Clout Token. Here's a good piece of advice. Don't seek clout. SpongeBob, yes. Awesome, SpongeBob. I'll see you later. I'm only 12. I want to drive away. Drive already. Is that weird? No, doesn't sound weird to me. I mean, Disneyland has an entire ride called Autopia. However, these are pretty complicated and complex ideas that we discuss here. I do my best to make sure everything here is clean. However, I don't censor my ideas, and they are very intense ideas that we discuss. So if you are younger, I would recommend talking to your parents and saying, like, hey, this is the kind of shows that he does. This is the kind of person he is. He's a Christian. He talks about philosophy and stuff. And make sure that they're okay with that, because your parents supersede wizard advice on the internet if you're under 18. Just so you know. The Miner says he is here. Welcome. Water is dry. That's a lie. What's the origin of the owl? I have no idea. He just kind of came into my life. I don't remember how I got him, but I really like him. So, it's pretty good, and I would recommend it. Awesome. I will check that out. Miner's here. What did you need reading regarding Mr. Miner? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll get your reading started shortly. Is it about finding coal? Because if it is, let me know. You are the definition of... My goodness, I'm apparently a very definitive person. But no, I'm just a wizard. Miner's looking for love. All right, let's go. Let me chop you off the list. Oh. I have another name on the list that I can't make out. We'll find out. I'll take a guess in a minute here. But after this reading, we'll do the lecture, and then we'll move on to the next 2 readings after that. We will be talking about how to fight a chimera and what a chimera is in just a bit. Boom, boom, boom. Ah, well, that makes a lot of sense. Very clear indeed. All right. That's just a straightforward, exact story right there. My goodness. Well, I don't even know if I need a philosopher for this, but why not? Eagle. No, we're not going to bring that. You're ridiculous. Come on. Oh, the most straightforward reading possible. Let's take the most confusing and nonsensical philosopher we can think of to make things more interesting. No, 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 no. Mr. Hegel, you're a silly man. Let's go with C.S. Lewis. No, not C.S. Lewis. Come on. I'm feeling goofy with this one. Why am I feeling so goofy with this one? Let's go with just Plato. Let's just keep it simple. Plato it is. All right, looking into the past here, what we see is the moon. Okay, so the moon is about some very odd occurrences. So this is when your subconscious is really fully activated and you're encountering some really bizarre scenarios right now. So you have this situation where it's just like, these are uncomfortable and negative things, but if you stop and think about them, you're like, okay, this is just getting ridiculous. Am I in a movie? Am I in a movie? This is weird, right? And so there's a lot of confusion here. Now, in regards to love, what this can often mean is that initial phase where you start falling for someone that maybe was just a friend, or this could be like the first time you start falling for somebody, and you're just like, wait, what? Okay, this is weird. This is, what in the heck? No, really? And so there's that odd time here. So there's a lot of oddities popping up with the moon card, and that's just your subconscious, the subconscious path that you have to go on. It can be a bit uncomfortable, especially for people who aren't really familiar with their subconscious mind as it gets integrated with your conscious world, but it is necessary for you to move forward on your hero's journey, so you got to get through that, even though it's a bit odd. Now, walking into the present, what we see is that it seems that you have managed to kind of get past that point and moved forward to where you're at now, which is the Three of Cups. And the Three of Cups is about growth in emotions. So what this is saying is that you went through that time and now you're starting to build relationships, build friendships, and just have an overall better growth and feeling for love. So this is a really good place to see you at coming out of this transitionary period and into where you're at now. So this is kind of where we're finding you at. Is this sounding accurate for you? Let me know in the comments below if this is sounding on point. And if not, that's perfectly fine. We will adjust accordingly. I'm into cars a lot. I go to car meets. That's really cool. I've never been into cars myself. However, if you're interested, I mean, man, mechanics make money. They know how to make money. Selling cars is another really great thing that you could get into for making money. Categorizing cars, knowing the ins and outs of the brand, marketing, advertising. There's a lot of things that you can do to make big money in there. Holden says, I gotta go, and then he deletes his message. Holden, what is this? I have a lot of visions in my head of me dying, and pretty weird shadowy white figures. Is that anything you've heard of? Oh yeah, definitely. We'll talk about that in just a bit, Belam. The miner says, kind of and not really interesting. Okay, so where are we going off place here, miner? Let me know, and we will adjust it accordingly. Where are we on point? Where are we not? So no, we're going through a time period here in the past of just kind of emotional confusion, a little bit of weird phenomenon, weird occurrences to the point where we're just kind of feeling like this is odd, this is awkward, and then walking into a current phase right now where we're starting to rather than just react weirdly to that, like this is so odd, this is so weird, we're now kind of starting to make progress towards cultivating and growing that. So where are we missing that on your particular story so that we can adjust the narrative accordingly? The white figures show up in my house a lot, but I'm not suicidal at all. That is good. Yeah, it doesn't sound like you are. It sounds like your subconscious is probably projecting a death cycle onto your mind. So we go through these all the times. It's when we let old parts of ourselves die off so that we can let better parts of ourselves grow through. So while it is a pretty scary thing, it's actually not that negative, and it's a pretty common occurrence. But we'll talk about that in just a bit. So the miner says the first half is accurate. Sorry, I write quickly. No problem at all. Mustang, and I sometimes overthink about it. Interesting. Sorry, I write quickly. No problem at all, miner. So the first half is accurate. So what we're seeing here, so the Three of Cups is definitely about growing emotions, growing relationships. So maybe this is, rather than being about, what in the world? Your voice is soothing. Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So the Three of Cups, rather than being about relationships, can also be about emotions. So you might be having a rising and growth in your emotional sensations. You might be maybe having some negative emotions rising and just kind of overall feeling increases of emotional energy. Is that sounding more accurate? You find yourself having higher levels of emotional energy, maybe reacting more to emotions than you used to? Awesome. Okay, so that's sounding more accurate. Cool. So we got that correct story in line. Here's just what the heck is this? Okay, reacting more. Awesome. So you are reacting more to the emotions. This is sounding accurate. I'm making some ginger tea. Would you want some? I actually have some ginger tea. It's delicious. So let's move on to the next steps here, Minor. What we see is the Seven of Cups. So the Seven of Cups is about confidence in your emotions. And so what this is a call to action to do here in regards to what you're saying right now is that you need to feel more confident and just be more experienced with your emotions. It's okay to be feeling uncomfortable and awkward and weird right now with these rising emotions because it's a new experience. You haven't been through this before, so of course it's going to be a little awkward and uncomfortable. And what this card is saying is, don't beat yourself up over that. This is just part of the training. This is part of growing and evolving as a human being. And so we need to take time to really let ourselves become more confident and just be familiar and get used to this kinds of time. And that's going to really help you out. Yes, that is the Seven of Cups right there for you. Boom. So I hope that helps you out, the Minor. I hope that gives you some insights. Let me know in the comments below if that helped you out. And I'm going to move on to the next reading. All of it is right. Glad to hear that is on point for you, Minor. And awesome indeed. Sweet. All right, we're going to move on to the lecture now. We have some more readings afterwards, which is Kiddo and Seth. Kiddo and Seth, if you'd like to get added to the list, let me know in the comments below. Sorry, I'm just being silly. No problem at all. Awesome. Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that was super accurate for you, the Minor, and gave you some insights. Sweet. All right. So let's talk about how to fight a chimera. How can we defeat a chimera, and what even is a chimera? Well, if you have read or are familiar with Mr. Carl Jung's book here, The Undiscovered Self, he discusses a very interesting concept. Is there any way I could get a reading as well after? Yeah, let me see. I'll add you onto the list. Arwin. I'm gonna totally screw up reading that later. Golden. Awesome. So Carl Jung discusses what he calls a chimera. And a chimera is a mythical being you may be familiar with, which is two beasts formed into one, or, as more traditionally is proposed, a beast with many human heads attached to it. And that's the true origins of the chimera. Sometimes it's an eagle with a lion's body, but it's a amalgamation of two beasts, and it's a very powerful and destructive force, known for its quality of breathing fire and being just overwhelmingly destructive. Now, you might be asking yourself, why is a psychologist who's a great mind talking about some mythical creature called a chimera and saying that it's real? Well, what Carl Jung argues in his book is that the chimera is real. In fact, it exists, it happens all of the time. It's just, it is a psychological phenomenon rather than a mythological phenomenon. So what he's describing here is a chimera is what is produced when you have people who do not set truth or Christ, logos, as their highest ideal. So people who do not worship Christ or allow something to be above truth. Those people are vulnerable across the board to possession, ideological possession. Christians would say demonic possession as well, emotional possession, and any sort of energetic force can take control if you have not filled that spot up with logos and truth. This is why Christians are so adamant about, worshiping Christ above, having no idols, and so on and so forth. All those call to actions are to prevent this thing from happening. Now, that alone doesn't make a chimera, but those are the targets of which chimeras are built. And so, what Carl Jung describes as a chimera is groups of people that have their logos, the place where you should be placing logos, open and available. You can then swap in an ideology or an emotion or a spirit even. Those can come in and really take over where logos would have prevented. Now, once you have that energy that controls the person's mind, you have the building parts of what makes the chimera. So, now that you're getting ready, you've got groups of people who have open portals, if you will, to be controlled by an ideology. All that ideology has to do is then feed on the energy of resentment. If you combined a ideology or a emotion or a demonic force with a body of people and then feed it resentment, then you have the building blocks of a chimera. And that's what summons a chimera into this existence. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And so that's what we call a chimera. And so what's interesting about the chimera is when people get absorbed into these ideologies, and you see this all the time, whenever you see someone who everyone's waving the same flag, everyone has the same ideas, everyone has the same slogans and phrases, the same words, the same colors, all of those things are the buildings of a chimera. It's people who have sacrificed their own intelligence, their own mindset, their own beliefs and actions. They get turned off and controlled by something else as a collective. This is what makes mobs of people. Mobs are typically chimeras, and that's where you get the image of a giant beast with many heads. That's where the image of the chimera comes from. And so this is the beast. This is the thing to be feared, and this is what Carl Jung tells us, hey, watch out for this. This is a fearsome creature, and what's interesting to note is that the chimera is no longer individual people. It's important to know that it's made of these groups of people, but it cannot think, it cannot reason, it does not actually have beliefs. So the chimera will spit out words, it's fire. It'll spit out words and say, this is what we believe in, this is what we want, this is what we are standing for. But in reality, none of that is true. They don't actually care about any of the things that they say. None of their beliefs are real. The chimera cares about one thing and one thing only, and that is consuming more energy. And so a chimera seeks to create situations that will produce emotional energy that it can then feed on to gain power, because its main focus is to gain attention to gain power. And that's where the chimera goes. So a smaller chimera will go and feast on smaller people. And there's this game that the chimera is constantly playing, which is, how can I find this person that will get me the most attention that is still small enough for me to devour? And so that's the kind of battles that the chimera plays. Now you know what the chimera is. I like the one where the Monopoly man had no monocle. That was cool. Yes, that was a pretty cool one, where we erased his monocle. So, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Holden. So, now that we've described what the chimera is, now we need to know, how do we defeat one? Well, the first step to fighting a chimera is you don't want to go against a chimera head-on. That's the first rule. Now, if you find yourself in the unfortunate circumstance where you are confronted with a mob of people, the chimera itself in person, and you are in that situation, the appropriate response would, one, to be to get away if you can. You don't want to be involved directly with this kind of situation. However, if escape is an impossibility, the next best option is to cast a individuation spell. So what is an individuation spell? Approach the mob unafraid and simply request in a very, and this is important, it has to be done with confidence and sincerity and to break the pattern of the mob, and simply ask, excuse me, could I speak with whoever's in charge? That's it. If you say those words, you're doing a lot of damaging spell work in a very, very short amount of time. One, if it's a small chimera, there's no hierarchy established yet, which will cause immediate chaos in the vicinity as people try to immediately assemble who is in charge. Wait, what's in charge of us? Which head is the real master? And that is going to sow the seeds of future destruction of the group, because whoever gets elected to the in charge will eventually be the person who they eat alive themselves. Because again, the Chimera does not care about or believe anything that it says. It simply wants to eat and survive on other people's energies. And if it can't get other people's energies, they will eat themselves. And so that is the first step. The second step is you will arrive and identify the weak point of the Chimera, which is the symbol, which is the leader. So whoever comes forth as the leader is going to be the person that you want to gain information on in the future for future steps. And then third, you simply say, what is it that you want? And then tell them, oh, okay. And now that you've broken the pattern of the mob, now you are in negotiations, you can use a simple get out of, oh, I hear what you're saying, and I have to leave because I have to leave. And that will be enough for you to usually get an escape. So that would be the approach if you are in the dangerous situation where you do have to confront a mob and you cannot escape. Escape is always priority number one. You do not fight a Chimera head on, but if you have to, that is the spell to use. And brings us to the principle of documenting as much information as possible. And of course, throughout all of this, you want to make sure that you are recording everything that you possibly can. So now that we know that we cannot confront a Chimera directly, how do we kill the Chimera, or how do we fight the Chimera? Well, the first step is to not feed them any energy. You want to, when they come for you and they attack you and they say horrible things in your chat or attack you online or tell your friends that you suck or come at you with all their vitriol, and that's the fire of their words, your job is to, one, never reason with them, ever. Just do not engage with any demands, regardless of how simple, how small, how just absolutely mundane it is. Do not negotiate with a mob. Do not reason with a mob. A mob is not a person. You cannot justify it. They do not care about any of the things that they will say to you. They do not care about any of the things that they will scream at you. They are only trying to stimulate emotional responses for you to feed on. And so that is the first step. The second step is never, ever apologize. Never. Do not apologize to a Chimera. If you apologize to a Chimera, that is a consent for them to feast on your emotions. It doesn't matter how rational it is. It doesn't matter how right the apology should be, and no matter how reasonable it seems that you should apologize. Never, ever apologize to a Chimera. Ever. Do not do it. So, now you have what not to do in this regard. Now, how do we start taking the offensive? Well, if you have applied these two principles, you will find that the Chimera is getting very, very angry. They're going to escalate the attacks and the emotional attacks upon you. They're going to continue to escalate more and more and more until they're going to show their vulnerability. So, mythologically speaking, how do we defeat the Chimera? We go on the offensive. How do we go on the offensive against the Chimera? We ride on Pegasus. That's how Chimera was defeated in mythology. So we need to take the high ground. So both of these first two strategies are about holding yourself up higher than the Chimera. You are saying, this thing is beneath me, it is below me, I do not reason with it, I don't apologize, I'm not going to acknowledge it. It doesn't even exist to me. This thing is non-existent. I could care less. This is going to absolutely infuriate the Chimera and will cause them to become vitriolic and start attacking in highly, highly aggressive ways. This is where you start the attack phase. At this point, as we mentioned in the very beginning, you should be documenting every single message, every single comment, every single post, and every single piece of information they send your way. Every message, every phone call, document all of it. Now, as you continue to not react and not engage and not show emotion, they are going to continue to escalate the attacks to try and stimulate the emotion. as you resist the emotional change, which they so desperately need to feed on, you are eventually going to trigger them to take an action that is a violation of morals, ethics, and the law. So, once you've documented all of this information, you will begin to express anything that seems immoral, anything that seems unethical, and anything that seems illegal publicly. And for example, let's say that the Chimera sends you a horrible message about how you should die and that you're a terrible person. Well, now that you have that person's information and that message, why not call their employer and let them know that their employee is sending things like that? And is that the right image that their company wants to be presenting? This is how you start to fight the Chimera. So these are the small arrows of Logos that you will start to levy and attack with. Finally, as you begin to assault with Logos, shooting the arrows from above, the truth, down onto the Chimera, the final step will arise. They will begin to thrash, they will begin to freak out when you start attacking and assaulting them with moral attacks. That will cause them to become even more aggravated, and that is when they will probably pass the line of legality. This is how you finally kill the Chimera. You kill the Chimera when they violate the law. Now, the most likely laws they will violate are cyberstalking laws and invasion of privacy and hacking. So, once that happens and you've documented everything, that is when you can then press charges and legal attacks and destroy and kill the Chimera. Because the way to kill the Chimera is with the truth that they give you, the hot lead, and then to use their own fury, their breath, to heat it up and stick it directly into their hearts. And that is how you defeat the Chimera mythologically, and that is how you defeat the Chimera in real life. So, if you find yourself in this situation, and in the upcoming years, many people will find themselves in this situation, remember these rules, remember how to slay the Chimera, and remember, don't react, never apologize, document everything, and attack from the moral high ground, and finally strike them down with the law. And that is how you defeat a Chimera. All right, let us move on to the next readings. 1v1 with the Chimera, oh yeah. What in the world? Who's your favorite philosopher? Ooh, that's probably Aristotle. I'm gonna have to go with Aristotle. I want to go into history of philosophy. Where would you start? Aristotle, Plato, particularly the Trial and Death of Socrates. That's the beginning of philosophical wisdom. Thomas Aquinas would be where I would go next. Pretty intelligent understanding of Aristotle's work. From there, gosh, it's kind of hard. Rene Descartes, Pascal, pretty awesome philosophical thoughts there. From there, I mean, Rene Descartes is weird and useful-ish, but not the best. From a history perspective as well, you probably want to get into political theory, so like The Prince would be really good. Machiavelli's The Prince, even though it's kind of jumping ahead in time. The History of Florence is a really great book by Machiavelli. Highly recommend checking that out if you're interested in history. From there, oh, Sun Tzu, duh, you need to know that for war strategies. It's hard to understand the world if you don't understand that. And then the Wealth of Nations, while it was written a lot further in the time, once you start to understand the world of economics and material, it gives you a better view and blueprint of the world. But you'll get that from Aristotle and Plato. Tyler, why are you talking about anime? Oh, because I watch anime. Quartz is so late for me. Erg. Oh, Seth, my apologies. Let's get your reading going right now. Seth, you're up. What do you need a reading regarding? Let me know, and we will get your reading going right now. Would it be easy to identify a chimera? Yes, of course. You see these all the time. Chimeras are just mobs of people that have an ideological possession. They say the same things. They have the same beliefs. They screech. They yell. They freak out. They all think the same way. They wave the same flags. They wear the same clothes. That's how you identify chimeras. Seth is looking for love. Reading. I'm find a combo out the Chimera cap. Yes. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. All right. Ooh, very interesting, Seth. All right. Interesting indeed. Not the most positive reading for love, but it's a journey of itself. You know, love has its ups and downs. Let's figure out what's going on here. Mr. Aristotle, would you be so kind? Looking into the past here, we see a grind in the intellectual. So we go through this process of Six of Swords. Is Chimera cancel culture? I don't know what that means. The Chimera is just what Carl Jung describes in this book called the undiscovered self. It's when people remove their ideology, belief in God, the logos, the truth, the almighty, it leaves a vulnerability. Other ideas can pollute their brains, take control of them. They no longer are able to think for themselves and just spout out the same words and the same thing. And then you feed them with the energy of resentment. And when you have those two things combined, you get a Chimera. Sea Hydra. Hydra is a little bit different, actually. So the Six of Swords here is about a grind in the intellectual. So we're going through a process of really trying to figure out how love works and how this relationship thing is and what are my emotions. And it just kind of feels like we're not really getting anywhere. This is a really, honestly, a little bit uncomfortable. It's an awkward time. We're not feeling like we're making much progress. And overall, it's just kind of a sucky time. And so we see that in the past here. Now, walking into the present, what we see popping up here is the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords is about inexperience with logos. And so what we see this process of going through here is we're realizing that all this thinking that we're doing about the concept of love is not really getting us anywhere. We're not really learning anything because we're not acting in the real world. We're not engaging with it in the world. We're trying to use logic to understand emotions, and that's not a really good approach. And we're kind of trying to build our foundation of what emotions and love are on logos and knowledge. And while there is some logic to love, there is some logic to emotions and feelings, it's definitely not the main thing here. So that's kind of what we find popping up in the current situation for you, Seth. Is this sounding accurate for you? Let me know in the comments below if this is sounding on point. And if not, that's perfectly fine. We will adjust accordingly. Go ahead and let me know. What is this person spamming here? Quartz. Thank you. Do you know what hyperpixel skyblock is? No, I've never heard of that. Sea Hydra Orb. Techno, really? I don't know what those things mean. I'm a finished comma. Would it be easy to identify? Yes, yes, indeed. Is it too late for me? Oh, I don't know. Seth, are you still with us? Seth, can you make a noise for me? Is this something? Hey, Tyler, do you know Technoblade? No, I don't know what Technoblade is. It's sounding kind of accurate. The present part seems a bit off. Interesting. Okay, so where are we off on the present? So basically what the present is saying is that we're inexperienced with our knowledge in the sense that we're realizing that thinking things through isn't the most effective way for managing our emotions. So that's kind of what we see popping up here. And so we're feeling like we're kind of inexperienced. Even though we know a lot and we gained a lot of wisdom, we still feel nervous and inexperienced because we're trying to logic our way around emotion. Which part is sounding a little inaccurate for you? Let me know, and then we will adjust accordingly. Do you know the Great Potato Famine of Ireland? Yes, I'm very familiar with the Great Potato Famine of Ireland. It was that was a really rough time. Very, very tragic. Just going to ask, what animes do you like, and have you watched Ouran High School Host Club? I have not seen that anime. Some animes that I like are Death Note. I like, what's that? Gosh, what's the one? Deku? I don't even know what it's called. I like All Might. I think he's cool. Seven Deadly Sins is pretty legit. I like that one. Naruto is really good. Naruto's intense, man. That's got some archetypes in it. That's very interesting to see how archetypes are portrayed in My Hero Academia. That's what it is. Very interesting to see how archetypes are portrayed in Japanese culture versus American culture. Very unique. Seth, mainly the part that says, I'm nervous. I don't get nervous for a lot of things. Not nervousness, inexperienced. So it's the, you know, like how, you might not have had this. Have you ever had a friend that tried to learn martial arts or swimming or some physical skill by watching YouTube videos? And then they think like, yeah, I know how to scuba dive now. I know how to do martial arts. But then they actually have to try and do it. And they're like, oh, you know, all that knowledge wasn't really everything. That's kind of more the experience I'm getting at. Now, that's obviously a more extreme example, but that's more the emotion I'm trying to convey. Is that sounding more accurate for you? Death Note is Pog? Yeah, Death Note is really good. Do you know what Hunter x Hunter is? Yes, I do know what that is. Alex keeps bugging me to watch it, and I don't want to watch it. Death Note is my second favorite anime. Nice. Yeah, that was a really good anime. And they ended it too. Though I have a better ending for Death Note. I was kind of disappointed with their ending. Yeah, that's sounding more accurate. Awesome. Glad to hear that that's sounding on point for you, Seth. Now let's move forward to the next steps. So what we see popping up here is a pretty intense card, which is the Tower. So what the Tower means is destruction and collapse in the future here for the next steps, based on the revelation that something that we believe to be true, and we find out. Also, my favorite anime is Girl Under Panzer. I never heard of that. Interesting. So it's about the revelation of a truth, and that causes something that we believe to be true to come crashing down. This is represented by the Tower of Babel. When we build beliefs on things that are falsehoods, truth is inevitably revealed, and that thing comes crashing down. So while this can be a bit of a painful experience and a little bit difficult process, this is actually really good to have happen. You want this to happen as soon as possible, because the sooner this happens for you, the faster you can start moving. You know what isn't true, and you can start growing and becoming better and not fall into that same trap. So what I would expect this to be is the revelation that a lot of the ideas that we think about love and emotions and feelings, we'll probably find out when we actually apply them into the real world, that there's a lot of new information that is actually totally counterintuitive to that, and will cause you to really have to rethink the reality of some of the stuff you've learned or read, and then find out how accurate it is. Gosh, I remember there was a guy, but I don't want to, he's an owl, so I'm not going to talk about his story unless he gives me permission. I'll censor it down into all, so it's not identifiable in any way. More or less, he had heard from reading online, like, oh, these are the things you have to say if you want a girl to like you. And we were talking about, like, that you realize that a female is a human being with, like, a personality, and they're all humans and different, right? He said, no, but, like, it's psychology, man. I'm like, you know, psychology has an 80% non-reproducibility. It's less reliable than a coin flip, right? No, trust me. And then he went out and tried it and found out it didn't really work. And so found out that they were people, and that the advice I had given him of, hey, why don't you smile, dress well, just start a conversation with them, and do your best to not appear creepy, but don't try to not be creepy. Just don't be creepy. Those are two very different things. And try to learn about them and find out if you have things in common. And if you do, talk about those things you have in common, and then go from there. And that's a much more effective strategy that kind of applies across the board. And so that would be my recommendation for him. And I hope that that gives you some insight, Seth. I hope that that helps you out. Let me know in the comments below if that helps you. And we're going to move on to the next readings. Who is up next? We've got Kiddo and Arwin. S&P Index Fund. When? Are you guys giving each other stock advice? What the heck? Yeah, that helps. Awesome. I'm glad that that was helpful for you, Seth, and gave you some insights. How do you feel about stocks and EFFs? I have some stocks. Do you know who Dolphin Cry is? No, I've never heard of that. My favorite anime is Darling Franxx. Nice. Yes, weird last name. Yeah. How do you feel about stocks and ETFs? So I do have some stocks. Personally, right now, my own opinion, and don't take this as advice in any way. I'm a wizard on the internet. Talk to a financial advisor if you want financial advice. I want to be invested in things that are stable and based in the material real world. I am shooting to get land, property, and if I was to make a list in my own head, what I would look for is fertile land that I could grow my own food on, valuable real estate location-wise, and then rental properties would probably be third, and then fourth, I would go for silver. And then after silver, I would be investing in physical equipment for farming and tilling lands, things that had actual value that I could apply to growing my own food. And then from there, I would then start considering stocks. That would be the level of priority I'd have. I'd emphasize, and at the very, very top, if I had any debt, I would put debt at the top. Getting out of debt is the most important thing you could possibly do over all of those other options. And that's what my personal approach. I follow Aristotle's Politics 1. That's what I'm attempting to do with my life, which is set myself up into a position of self-sufficiency based on the land that I live on, and from there to outwardly expand into other financial investments, but to only do so once I've put myself in a position of financial self-sufficiency. And you can learn more about that in Politics 1 by Aristotle. He's much more intelligent than me. Yeah, that helps. Are individual stocks better than index funds? From the book I read from Warren Buffett, he recommends picking 10 stocks from companies that you know, that you think that have been around for 15 years and always paid out dividends during those 15 years or longer, and you think will be around for 15 more years and will be bigger than they were in 15 years than where they're at now. That's the criteria he applies, but I would recommend checking out his book. I think it's called The Intelligent Investor. Very good source of information there. Do you know what Boku no Pico is? No, never heard of that. All right, let's see here. I have not seen any words from Kiddo or Arian. If you guys are here, you have readings up, but if there's nobody looking for readings, I will close up the stream here because I'm already over time, so that works out. Let me know in the comments below if you're here. Oh, Aaron is there. Awesome. All right, well, get your reading going. Momentum says pig, dog, cow, pog. What does pog stand for? My brother says it because he's like an LCS champion or something. He's like a huge deal in esports. And he says that all the time, and I have no idea what he means. What does he mean? Is it abbreviation for something? You should watch it. It's a pretty good anime. Pog is a really good anime? Interesting. Okay. Arin. Let's get your reading going, and then that will be our last reading for the night. Was there anything in particular you needed insights on, Mr. Arin? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have any questions about the Chimera lecture or input or insights, if you guys enjoyed it, let me know. I'd love to hear. Love as well, please. Awesome. All right. Well, yours is a very different story. My goodness. Okay. Socrates, would you be so kind? Thank you. Looking into the past, we see a much more intuitive adventure here popping up for you, the Star. So the Star is about, hold on, I'm finding out what Pog means. Have you played Minecraft? Yes, I have. Pog is a meme. It means good game or good job. Yeah. Oh, neat. Okay. So the Star is about following your intuition, following your insights, the gift of just awareness. This could be Cupid's arrow in terms of love, this just the feeling of immediate love and overwhelm, but also a guiding light, an idea of this is what I want in a relationship, for example, just the high ideal. And so we see that established here in the past, which is really great to see. Typically this comes about, I meant Pog, not Peg. Oh, gotcha. Okay. We see this established with like the movies that we watch. We tend to identify with particular characters and say, oh, that is the person that I find is my ideal. This person here represents something that I like. This is a anima, and that's, Carl Jung would call it an anima. It's the representation of the perfected ideal partner in your head. So you have this imagined woman or man in your head that represents what your ideal is, and then from that point you judge every other person against that female, and then inevitably what ends up happening is you find that that imaginary image of perfection in your mind doesn't exist in the real world because people aren't perfect, and so you have to find someone that meets the base criteria for that. And so now walking into the present, what we see here is the Six of Pentacles, and this is typically what happens when we have that anima conflict. So the Six of Pentacles is about a grind in the material. So what this is saying is that we're just not seeing this perfect ideal we have in our head in the real world. And it's just kind of really frustrating and annoying. And it's like, what am I doing wrong? Is it me? Is there something wrong with me? And so there's a bit of frustration here. And kind of this interesting dynamic of feeling like we have to use judgment, but also, should I be settling? Do I need to settle? What does that even mean? And so there's a lot of confusion here going on. And so that's kind of what we find you at right now. Is this sounding accurate for you? Let me know in the comments below. And if not, that's perfectly fine. We will adjust accordingly. Just let me know before we move on to the next steps. Buko no Pico is a good anime. Got it. That sounds like a salsa. Are you sure it's not a chicken salsa dish? Is a good anime. You should watch it like right now. Well, okay. No, I'm just kidding. I just left to get the stream going. Come back in 30 minutes, and I'm just like, so it was a pretty good anime, guys. Now I'm going to do another 30-minute review. Moment says, don't watch it. All right. Now I want to watch it because you're telling me not to watch it. Aaron is saying that this is sounding pretty accurate. Glad to hear this is sounding on point. All right, so what is the next steps? What we see popping up here is the Empress, and this is a great card to see popping up. The Empress basically is saying, unfortunately, no, we're going to be closing up the stream, Clarita, but I will be live again tomorrow, Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific Coast time here on YouTube, and I'm live on TikTok at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Coast time there as well. So if you're interested in getting another reading, you can do it there, and I will see you then. Yes, I will see you soon. So the Empress here is about abundance, about growth, about just fertility, life, fruits, abundance, and just an awesome position to be at in life. Connection with nature, creativity abound, our principles being fully actualized. And so what this is saying here is that rather than focusing and fixating on are we doing something wrong or bad or awful? What am I doing bad, or am I not finding the right people? They don't exist. Trying to get this outward confirmation for what you want in life. Instead, what you should be doing is one, trying to make yourself the best self you can be. And that's the best that you can do. Just focus on making yourself the best that you can be, and don't worry about anything else other than that. Don't try to be someone else. Don't try to impress someone else. Just try to be the best version of who you are. Then the second step is that you want to go and write down the criterias of what you actually want in a relationship. Literally write them down. What are the things that you 100% must have? What are the things you 100% will not tolerate? And then what are the nice to haves, and what are the things that are a little annoying? Write them down on a list and use that as a criteria list when you start meeting people. You can go up and literally be like, okay, well, they check off one of my no's, that a hard no's. Okay, I need to stop hanging out with this person, and let's move on to another one. And so this intellectualizing the emotional process here is going to help you be very efficient and find the people that you're looking for. And combined with the fact that you're trying to be the best self that you can be and growing and improving is going to increase the likelihood of other people wanting to spend time with you as well. And that doesn't just mean your looks. and health, though those are very important and things you should work on, being healthy, being fit, being attractive, dressing well, presenting yourself in a positive way. Those are all great qualities to work towards. That being said, you also want to focus on the emotional aspect, the behaviors, the skills, the value, the conversations, your principles, your virtue. These are all things that you can improve on that are not just purely base material things that are, while valuable and important, they're not the whole story. And so make sure you're working on all of those pieces, and that's going to help you be a much more effectively achieve your goal of finding the person that meets your higher ideal. And that is the reading I have for you today. I hope that helps you out. I hope that gives you some insights. Let me know in the comments below if that helped you out. And with that, that is our last reading for today. If you guys have any questions or quick questions or insights or comments, if you want to talk about the lecture, if you want to talk about one of your readings, let me know in the comments below. And if not, we will close up the stream for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And please, if you enjoyed this stream, please share this thing out. Get this out to the people. Thumbs up the video. It helps us out with the algorithm. And just more or less spread the word. Tell a friend. Bring them in with you. Treat this like a fun place to hang out at. The Parliament of Owls is a community. We are trying to find the best people on the internet. The reason I ban so many people is because I'm trying to filter out the trash so that when people come here, they will meet the best people on the internet. That is who the Parliament of Owls are, and we are a group of people who promote self-knowledge and philosophy and improving ourselves and doing that through philosophy. And we try to promote and create the beautiful, the good, and the true. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, come on back and join the Parliament of Owls and help each other's out. Build projects together. Let me know about them so I can bring attention to them, and I'd love to hear about it. Thank you so much for the reading. No problem at all. I'm glad I was able to help you. And tell me how the anime is tomorrow. I'm probably not going to watch it tomorrow. Right now we're watching Castlevania. And I have like literally no time in my life. I wish I had more. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy that. And you can always support me financially on patreon.com/askawizard, where you can buy me a cup of coffee, buy me lunch, or buy me dinner with the Feed the Wizard program. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys tomorrow. No problem at all, Quartz. I hope you enjoyed it. One quick question. Are chimeras common? Yes, there are massive amounts of chimeras all around. And there are actively evil wizards who are creating chimeras every single day utilizing the internet and the news. There are mobs of people who are possessed by an ideology and then fed on resentment. If you do those two things and gain enough people, you create a chimera. So be on the lookout for them. And yes, the good news is you can destroy them as well. So with that being said, we're going to have a good evening, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.